NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
We know how.
It is being called a dire and sobering situation. Tonight, experts are saying the child care industry is on the verge of collapse. Thanks for joining us for the Nightly Check-In. I'm Mark Mullen. The daycare dilemma is being magnified by the pandemic. A new study just out by the National Women's Law Center found 1 in 5 child care workers have lost their jobs just since February. And a Berkeley study of nearly 1,000 daycare centers in California found nearly all open centers have significantly fewer kids. Fewer kids means less money coming in while bills continue to go up. A significant percentage of daycare surveyed said they have gone into credit card debt, skipped a mortgage payment, or skipped paying themselves in order to stay open. Catherine White with the National Women's Law Center says there's a solution: public funding.
There isn't sufficient public resources for our childcare system. For decades, we failed to invest what's needed to fill the gap between what parents can afford to pay for childcare and what providers and educators need to make to do their job well. And now the pandemic is really bringing an already strained childcare system to the brink of collapse.
Catherine White says there is a major disconnect between what the childcare industry needs to survive and what the federal government is currently providing. From music venues to comedy clubs, it could be years before the entertainment industry makes a complete comeback. Today, we wanted to hear from some local entertainers about living without an audience right now.
I used to do lots of local gigs and shows around town. I used to tour around the world and travel, and pretty much all of that has come to a stop.
Not being able to perform and play shows, it's stressful. You know, I don't really want to complain about it because people are dying from this thing.
Singers and musicians like Rebecca Jade or John Reese from Rocket from the Crypt are all adjusting to this new normal, like it or not. They say it's more than just losing the crowds, it's also the venues. People who work inside the comedy clubs or music venues are struggling to get by. In San Diego, there still hasn't been any indication about when these entertainment venues could reopen. So here are the latest coronavirus numbers in San Diego. 267 new cases reported today. That is a 5% positivity rate. There are also 5 new deaths, bringing the total to 665 people. There was 1 new outbreak reported in a healthcare setting. The case rate is 81.0, well below the state's 100 cases per 100,000 people threshold. There's been a spike in fake COVID-19 products for sale on social media. UC San Diego researchers found thousands of posts tied to coronavirus scams on Twitter and Instagram. The posts include illegal testing kits, untested treatments, and alleged cures. Nearly 2,000 posts have been categorized as being a risk to people during this pandemic. So tonight we're getting to look at some new technology that could help slow the spread of wildfires using drones. It is called the Mighty Fire Breakers Fire Inhibitor. Basically, it's a type of environmentally friendly fire retardant that can be sprayed around a property. The manufacturer says it can also be applied with a spray blower attached to a backpack. Summer heat wave in full swing. As you know, Dagmar is next with your weather right after this quick break.
NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. We know how.
Bill Howe adapts with the needs of the community. That's why we offer virtual estimates, a safe and easy alternative for in-home estimates on repairs for plumbing, heating and air, and flood services.
Because we know how.
Looking at your weather for your Wednesday, unfortunately, we're going to continue with the heat. We're going to continue with the humidity. You will still feel the mugginess and the heat rising in some cases in those inland valleys, mountains, and certainly in the deserts where we will have an excessive heat warning that stays in effect. Another one until Thursday night. So the coast, you will notice that low 80 mark. Inland valleys today, low 90s. Mountains, you're looking at the low 90s as well. Hot and humid in through the deserts, 112, 113. Once again, keep in mind that excessive heat warning for just those eastern slopes of the deserts through those desert floors is in effect until Thursday night. It is August and we're feeling the heat, but August has a much better theme in our minds. At Telemundo 20 and NBC7, we've been teaming up to find homes for animals all across the county. We found homes for close to 1,000 now at the very least, and there are thousands more waiting, so take a look at this beautiful creature. This is Thelma. Thelma is a 1-year-old domestic short hair. She is waiting for you. She's just under a year old. She's at the Oceanside inside Humane Society campus, and there are so many more creatures just like this waiting to find their way into your hearts and homes. Go to nbc7.com/community.
You no longer have to self-quarantine after a trip out of the country or out of the state of California. The CDC updated its coronavirus travel guidelines and now asks people to follow state, local, or tribal requirements instead. Previously, those returning from areas with a high transmission rate or from overseas were recommended to quarantine for 14 days. San Diego is following California's guidance on travel, which does not specify how long you should quarantine after a trip, but it does recommend how you can practice coronavirus safety. Our latest NBC7 Investigate series, Stolen, gives you an up-close look at an issue that all too often is basically hidden in the shadows. The Investigates team spent a year uncovering new details about sex trafficking here in San Diego County. In episode 3 of Stolen, Monica Dean goes undercover with San Diego County's Human Trafficking Task Force to get an inside look at the efforts to track down the people involved in recruiting and exploiting local children. You can watch that episode and all of them, the entire series, we put online right now. Just open your phone's camera, point it at the code you see here on the screen, and it will take you to the Stolen homepage on NBC7.com. That's going to do it for the Nightly Check-In. I'm Mark Mullen. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.